it's Chris here, just making another video about the series that I'm doing on the upcoming trip that I'm doing to the Overland Track in Tasmania. So this is the second video in the series. This one is going to take you through all of the gear that I'm going to be taking. The only thing that won't be in this video is food. I'm going to do a separate video on that one because that's actually a fairly significant portion of what we have to take with us. So I'll do a separate one just highlighting all of the items that we're going to be taking for the 7 days. So we'll just start going around the room here with starting I think with this side, which are the hiking boots. So they're a pair of Salomon hiking boots. I've taken them on a few hikes already, so they're well and truly broken in, really comfortable to wear, and I guess they're probably going to get a good test of how well they go in the wet and rain if we get that sort of weather in Tassie. Just behind that I've got a pair of thongs. That's just for wearing around camp to get out of the hiking boots at night, which would be a nice relief, I'm sure. There are huts down in the Tassie or the Overland Track campsites, so you can actually do your cooking, and in fact you can actually sleep in the huts as well if you want to. I don't really intend to do that. I'm planning just to use the tent. I just think it's a nicer way to do it from my point of view, so that's probably the plan there, use the tent instead of huts. Next to that we've got my sleeping bag. That's actually packed down at the moment into a compression dry bag. So that's one I've had for years and years, and it's still just such a good sleeping bag. Rated pretty much to, for pretty much 4 seasons. It is going to probably be fairly cold at night, even though it is summer. It can get quite cold in Tassie, and in fact it can actually even snow in summer down there in the Highlands, so got to be prepared for everything. So that's that packs down reasonably small for a warm bag. In front of that got an Osprey Daypack that folds up into a really small sort of pocket sized bag, so it just folds in on itself, but that is going to be taken to use for any side trips that we're looking to do, where we leave our main packs just at the trail junction, and then just pack a few essentials to go and hopefully do a mountain summit or two while we're down there. Next to that we've got Gators. I've only just recently purchased these and haven't hiked with Gators before, so that'll be a new experience for me, but they're strongly recommended for Tassie, just to help keep things off the legs, and obviously try and keep dirt and water and other rocks and stuff out of your boots as you're going along. So they're reasonably heavy duty, those ones, so looking forward to seeing how those perform on the track. Behind that I've got a sleeping mat and an inflatable pillow. Those are both Exped bits of equipment. You'll probably see a few Exped things here, not because I'm promoting the brand necessarily, it's just I just really like some of the gear that they have. So that sleeping mat was actually the first piece of Exped equipment that I purchased, and that is an ultralight Sinmat ultralight. So it doesn't weigh much at all, but it just provides a really comfortable experience for nighttime when you're sleeping. And the pillow I've only used that once so far, but I'll just have something over the top of that just to make it sort of comfortable to sleep with. Next to that, got the Gore-Tex rain jacket. That's probably heavier duty than some people take, compared to say like more of a lightweight rain jacket. It really does the job though, so I've used that a bit in wet weather and it's kept me really dry. Underneath that there's also a pair of waterproof pants, so yeah, pretty much fully prepared for the wet weather that we may get. In front of that is my tent, so that is probably, in terms of a single piece of equipment, that's probably the heaviest thing that's going into the pack. That one weighs about 3 kilos. There's also a footprint that goes with that, which I have used on another trip, but I'm not planning to take it down to the Overland Track, mainly because we're going to be pitching the tent on tent platforms, I should say, and the floor on this thing is pretty hard wearing, so I just decided that's a piece of equipment that I probably could afford not to take. And that little green bag underneath it is the dry bag that the tent will actually go into. Okay, next to that we've got a down jacket. It's very lightweight, this one. Not a big puffy jacket, but it really just packs down small into that little stuff sack, and is just so warm. It adds a really nice extra layer, for colder weather. I've used that just for normal kind of wear around town, and it's really warm. Next to that, I've got the Platypus Bladder. So that's a 3 litre bladder. I used to use just water bottles and recently changed over to this system, and yeah, look, it's a great system. It's really just makes it so much easier as you're hiking along. Just have the hose coming out of your pack and just be able to sort of sip water as you're actually walking along. So look, it does fill to 3 litres. There's quite a few places apparently along the Overland Track where you can refill fresh water, and obviously you still probably need to treat it, but so given that, I'll probably just try and keep it refilled to maybe 2 litres at a time, and hopefully that should be enough just to keep the weight down a little bit. Okay, behind that's an Osprey Airporter travel bag. I bought that recently as well. That's really just because I wanted to have something to put my pack inside as it's going through airports. Really, we're just travelling from Melbourne to Launceston and back. You just hear sort of stories about baggage handlers kind of treating packs a bit rough and breaking straps and so forth. So that just really makes it nice and tidy. Packs it all inside a travel bag, and then it folds up into that little sort of bag as it is there. So that won't actually go on the hike with me either. That'll just stay in Launceston. So that's one extra bit of kit that I don't have to worry about carrying. All right, next to that, just a pair of gloves. Not really heavy duty ones. They're just enough to keep the hands warm if the temperatures do drop down to sort of low single figures, or possibly a little bit colder, which it happens even at this time of year. And then beside that, I've got a buff, which I haven't used yet. So it looks to be a pretty versatile bit of clothing. So that can be a beanie, it can be a neck gaiter. There's a whole variety of things that you can use it for, so I think that should come in handy. Behind that in the blue dry bag, that's the spare set of clothes that I'm going to be using just around camp. So I won't take things out of there, but inside it I've got a spare pair of lightweight pants. There's a merino wool base layer. There's just a vest, which is a lightweight vest, which is just a fleece that'll just give me an extra layer if I need it. There's also a couple of spare pairs of socks, which are merino as well, which same as the ones that I'm going to be hiking in, which I'll show you in a minute. And then just a couple of spare pairs of undies and some bathers in there if I decide to try and brave the water in one of the lakes up there. See how we go. So that's pretty much everything in this dry clothes bag. Okay, next to that's just a water bottle. I normally just use that to refill and then treat in the water bottle before I transfer it into the bladder. So that'll just be empty most of the time, except when I'm just refilling to transfer water. And then beside that, I've got my cooking set. So my cooking set's not probably as fancy as some of the really compact ones that you can get, but mine's just a pot and a lid, and then that Soto bag there has my little stove in it, as well as a pair of handles for the pots, or the pot, and then I've just got a spork as well, and a cup, which is a pretty basic one. It's not one of these collapsible ones. That's something I might look at getting, because the cup does take up a little bit of space, but yeah, it seems to work pretty well. Fuel, obviously we have to get down in Tassie, we can't take that on the flight, so I'm just going to be getting a couple of bottles of fuel, probably I think that's a 230ml, and then just a smaller one which I think is 110, which I think should be plenty for the trip. Okay, last of the things down on the floor is probably one of the best pieces of kit that I've bought in terms of the way it's changed the experience for me, and that's my hiking poles. These have just made such a difference to the way that I sort of feel in terms of my legs and balance when I'm walking. They really just make a huge difference to taking pressure off your knees and your legs as you're going both up and down hills, and really just give you such a good bit of extra balance when you're going over pretty uneven terrain. So I love them. I've since I started using those a few months ago, I just pretty much use them every time I go hiking now. They're just a great bit of kit. So if you're not using them already, I would highly recommend giving them a try, and yeah, see what you think. Alright, so just up to the things on the back now. So that's just a big hat for obviously keeping the sun off. The sun down in Tassie is actually pretty harsh, so it's a good idea to try and protect yourself as much as you can in terms of keeping UV off. So that's not the most fashionable item out there, but it really does the job in terms of keeping the sun off. And with that hat there, that's just an insect mesh that I've bought. You just chuck it over the top of your hat, and really good just for if you're sitting around and you've got insects buzzing around you. Just keeps them off your face and your neck. So that's lightweight piece of equipment, which just adds to the comfort factor, I guess. Got my sunnies next to that, so they're nice big ones just to keep the sun off the eyes. And then a few little items beside that. I haven't bagged them up in anything at this stage, but I've got my Swiss Army knife, the little canister of Bushman insect repellent. Next to that there's some electrolytes, just to add a bit of extra hydration stuff to when we're sort of hiking along and drinking as we go. And then beside that, sunscreen. I've only taken enough sunscreen really for what I think I need for the week that we're down there. It's really only my face, my neck and arms that'll be exposed at any time, or most of the time, so I figure that little bottle's probably going to be enough for that. And then beside that is some lip balm. Always good to just keep your lips, stop them from cracking and getting really dry in the sun. Alright, beside that is just washing up stuff really. I've just cut a scour in half, which I just use for washing up. That yellow cloth I just use as a tea towel essentially, just for drying up. And then in front of that is just pocket soap, which is multi-purpose. That's just little sheets effectively that sort of peel off and dissolve in water, and you can use them for washing up. You can use them for washing yourself and probably washing clothes as well. Just on washing clothes, I'm sort of thinking about whether I purchase something that's like I think it's called a scrubber, which actually does your washing in like a little bag. I haven't actually done anything for that yet, but that's something else that I may decide to take with me. Alright, next to that, just chlorine dioxide tablets for water purification. I used these on the last trip, and they really did the trick just to keep water that we were collecting from creeks purified and safe to drink. So that's an essential bit of equipment to have. And underneath that are some moleskins, which I did use last time on my hike. I started getting a bit of a blister, so we'll see how they go as well. I should say at this point that the friend that I'm hiking with actually has put together our first aid kit, so I'll have to document that in another video. Probably we'll do that when we're down on the actual track. So I'll take you through what we've got in the kit, so that you can sort of get an idea of what is good to take in that first aid kit as well. Next to that, there's a guidebook underneath the map. So that's actually a really good guidebook, just that was sent when we booked the Overland Track trip. The Parks and Wildlife Service sent that up, and that map is actually a waterproof map as well, so that's pretty handy. You don't have to worry about that getting wet. You can sort of use that at any time, even if it's raining. The friend I'm going with also has a compass, which will be going along as well. Next to that, another little dry bag. That's really just going to be used for holding electronics. So next to that, there's a Signet recharger pack. That does about 2 full recharges of my iPhone, which I think will probably be enough for this trip. So that's really all I'm probably taking in terms of a battery pack. And then I've just got my, that's just the iPhone cable there, and I'll just take a pair of headphones as well in the little electronics kit. Just some plastic bags behind there for, rubbish collection or dirty clothes or whatever it is. It's always good to have a few spare ones. And then there's a little set of mini playing cards there. That's a good way to pass the time when you're just sort of sitting around camp. So easy to carry and good for a bit of entertainment. Just a full roll of toilet paper there for the week. So that should probably be plenty. And then next to that, that's just a little thing of roll-on deodorant. My toothbrush and toothpaste will go in that little Toiletries bag as well as just like a little washcloth to sort of wash each day as well. And then next to that, that's just a little travel towel. Obviously a handy bit of equipment to have with you as well. And then next to that is the actual clothes I'll be wearing when I'm hiking. So that's just a pair of lightweight pants at the bottom there. There's that's a t-shirt which is merino wool. It's just a great t-shirt to walk in. It's so comfortable. It sort of wicks away the sweat and really just is a nice sort of breathable fabric. So a bit expensive to buy, but it's a really nice thing to actually walk in. And on top of that, just a pair of merino wool socks. Those ones are icebreakers, and I've got 2 more pairs in the dry bag in my spare clothes set. Actually, I should go back over to here as well. I forgot the bit of equipment at the back there, which is just a piece of foam mat that's been cut off from one of the normal sleeping mats. And this is probably just a little bit of a luxury item to take, but it's really just, I saw another Australian hiker who was using this in a variety of different ways on her trips, and just thought it's a great thing to take. She was sort of just saying how versatile it is for different uses. On this trip, it'll mainly just be used as a nice comfortable seat. So really lightweight, doesn't, squishes down to a small size, but it'll just be nicer than just, sitting directly on a rock or on the ground. You just got a nice padded seat to sort of sit down when you're taking a rest or sitting around camp. And then the last thing here is my pack. So I've got a low alpine Cerro Torre. It's a 65-85 litre, so it's got a 20 litre expansion gusset at the top of it, and I think that's probably going to be reasonably close to capacity when we first start the trip. The food that we're taking does take up quite a bit of space, so I think that's going to be just about full when we start off, and then obviously it'll start to pack down a bit once we start getting through our food. I am using a pack liner, which is just a heavy duty gardening garbage bag. So look, I could probably get away with not using that, but I just like to be on the safe side. So just in case the weather gets really bad, and I want to make sure everything's dry that's inside there. I've also got inside the bottom of the pack, there is a rain cover in there as well. That's usually good. It's shower proof. If the weather gets really wet, it probably wouldn't sort of stand up to that, which is the reason I like to have the pack liner in there as well. But yeah, just for lighter showers and stuff, the pack cover will or the rain cover will just keep things pretty dry anyway. So that's pretty much it for the equipment video. I'm going to be doing a separate one, as I said, on the food that we're taking, so stay tuned for that one. And that'll probably be the last one we do before actually getting down and starting the trek. So I'll be putting that one up shortly as well. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys then.